Well, I've got a few guests joining me. Very excited to be talking about collaboration with the Southwest Michigan Symphony Orchestra and the Ghostlight Theater, The Sound of Music. And we've got Paul Mao, who is the director of this whole thing. And we got a few of your lovely cast members as well. Paul, you guys, how long have you guys been working on this show to get this all together? Because you've done many collaborations like this at the Shadowland Pavilion with the symphony orchestra. But how long does that process take?
We usually plan at least a year ahead, and Sound of Music was on the docket in 2020 when we all pulled in the reins. And so we've been after this one since we thought we planned it in 2019. So it's been a good 4 years for us to finally bring this to fruition.
That's awesome. And then, it coming up this weekend, but it's something that when does the rehearsal process and the sort of run through and all that? Because I know you have guest artists that are coming from all over to be a part of this, but also local cast members as well. So when do you kind of get that starting?
Yeah. So we started, we cast it in the spring. These folks have known they were going to be a part of it for a while. But these folks are all busy and out of towners that you're talking to today, other than myself. So it's kind of a moving target when they were able to join us, and some of them have come and gone and come back. And so it's a huge balancing act for me as a director, for my stage manager, for us to block it and get people musically prepared. A few other people in the cast have been in and out. So it's, a musical, I think, as you know, Johnny, is always about 6 weeks. If you can hit the ground running and do 5 or 6 nights a week.
Mm-hmm.
This one's probably been closer to 7 or 8, just because we tried to dial in the kids a little earlier.
Sure.
And some of those kids are as young as 7. So we've definitely been at it since late May on this one, and it overlapped. What I worked on last was Cabaret. So I was kind of doing 2 at the same time, which is a little bit crazy, but all for the good of the product.
Absolutely. And when you throw in the outdoor performance and you throw in the live orchestra, yeah, it's a lot of logistical things that happens behind the scenes that comes together. Sometimes you don't know how, but it comes together and ends up being a great show. But looking forward to this. So Sound of Music with a symphony. You've got some great performers as well. Let's introduce some of these great people, because these are some of your a few of your featured performers, right?
Yes, and these folks are returning because all 3 of them were part of our first production at the Ghostlight in 2019. They were in the Bridges of Madison County. So it's great to have them back. And Abby Murray Vachon is playing our Maria. We're so excited to have her in from Portland, Oregon. She's a former local to Michiana. Branch Fields is playing the Captain Von Trapp, and he's in currently from Virginia. And Elizabeth Pacheco Rose is back playing our Mother Abbess, who gets to bring it home every night at the end of Act 1 and 2 with Climb Every Mountain. And Elizabeth and I are old friends, but she hails from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, so from all over.
Wow. So you guys are traveling quite a lot. Abby, let's talk with you first. You're coming from all the way from Portland, but where were you at before? Were you in the Mishawaka, South Bend area?
Yes, so I grew up in South Bend, Mishawaka area, and then I went to Penn High School there, and then went to university for musical theater in Ohio, and then, really did it professionally, primarily in Chicago after that. But I always feel like a Midwesterner, truly, in my heart.
Yeah, that's awesome. And this is a big role to be playing. Have you played this role in the past?
No, I have not, and I really, I feel like my years to play it are limited. So I just feel so grateful, because it's rarely do you get to have such an arc of a character. You
Sure.
usually only have moments of it, and it's just such a full character that, oh God, I'm just so happy and lucky to be doing it.
Yeah, it's certainly not only an iconic role played by some great people, but also something that, like you said, it is a daunting role, because it really carries the story and in parts of lots of different scenes and pretty much on stage all the time, doing a bunch of different stuff. So it is pretty awesome. But of course, the expectations too, when the audience members come, they know these songs, they've sung them before, and so that's also. Is that difficult when you're putting together everything and as a performer to kind of have those expectations ahead of you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, there's always going to be expectations, especially, I mean, when you're thinking about Julie Andrews. I mean, how can you just not love her?
Yeah.
So I think the real challenge is, and a couple times in my career, I've had the opportunity to play actual historical people. And it's how do you, capture the essence of the character that people truly love, but then make it honest for yourself and where we're at in the world right now. But it's daunting, but you know what? I'm not Julie Andrews, so I
Right.
shouldn't try to be her. I can just do the best I can. And it's about the children, right? At the end of the day. And I think that's for me what always keeps me focused and present on truly what it's about.
Jonny, let me just jump in here and say Abby Mervishon is a unicorn. When you see Abby Mervishon play Maria, you're going to see a Maria that you've not seen before, because Abby Mervishon is so special on stage. Her vocals, everything about her is so special. You don't miss it.
That's wonderful. And that's what I love is when you can have a performer that can put their spin on it and then do it the way they want to do it. Because that's also, you have those expectations, but it's also, no, this is my spin. Yeah, I'm not this person, but I'm going to put my little spin on it, and you're definitely going to enjoy it. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing that. What's it been like working on this show? Now you're working with kids and also coming from all over, coming from across the country, really, to come and be a part of this. What's it been like?
Oh, it's been great. I have been looking forward to this since Paul asked me. It's really, I really fell in love with theater at the community level. I grew up at South Bend Civic Theater here, and when I really think of my favorite theater memories, it wasn't in the professional vein. It was truly when it was about collaboration and growth of artists. And so the fact that I get to be around this wide of a range of children, some of who it's their first time and are really exploding with the possibility of doing this art, is really what it's about for me. And I think what art is about in general is what it can do for people, not fame wise, but I think internally as human beings.
Absolutely. And I think I love that not only you have this collaboration of professional musicians as the ones playing the music, but then the performers as well. That gives so much, mentorship that you, even if for a short period of time, you get to kind of mentor some of these kids and these other performers, and they can see, these amazing performances, and not only the performance, but the process and how you go about doing some of that stuff. Branch, let's talk with you a little bit. Coming from Virginia, but you said also from Arkansas, is that right?
Yeah, first 11 years in Arkansas, and then we moved to Williamsburg, Virginia, when I was, about 11.
Wow.
And I've been there ever since, and I live in the same neighborhood where I grew up. I'd lived in Philadelphia and New York, but eventually kind of came back home and have been there ever since. And so I have 3 kids, and they're basically living the same childhood that I lived, except with a lot more technology.
So being a father, not a stretch for you when you're being in this role, right?
No, which is critical because, you have to be able to relate to that, being both a present father but also a distant father,
Yeah, it's certainly a different, I'm sure a different dynamic with your family than it is with the Von Tripp family, but
slightly,
just a little
bit, of course. But you at least having that fatherly instinct and knowing that it's a little easier to kind of do that. Have you done this role at any time in your past of performances?
Yes. Luckily, I got 2 productions of it last summer. At Charlottesville Opera and at Montana Theater Works in Bozeman.
Nice.
And they were like pretty much back to back. So I did about 14 performances of it and really got it under my belt.
He knows the show better than me, Jonny. He should be directing it. For sure.
Has that been pretty fun to do the role again? But also you're getting a different spin because you're coming from with a totally different cast and different director. So it's a different sort of vision on what the performance and everything should be, right?
It is, and I by no means have really grasped this role to its full extent. I mean, that would take several more productions, I think. But it is wonderful. Paul and I go way back, and we respect each other so much. And he just has some great acting insight for all of the scenes. So it is nice to sort of step back and take another look at each scene and where it could go just a little differently. And it's been eye-opening for me.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be certainly eye-opening for all the people that are coming to check out this wonderful performance of The Sound of Music with the Southwest Michigan Symphony Orchestra, as well as the Ghostlight. Elizabeth, let's talk to you, because I know you have done not only past performances with Ghostlight, but also other solo things, and a lot of you're pretty familiar with Southwest Michigan and all the fun stuff that we do. But what's it been like to be a part of this production specifically?
It's been so wonderful. It's actually really nice to not be the lead. And not that Mother Abbess isn't a challenge for me, because it is.
Sure.
She's not the typical role that I play, but she's been a wonderful challenge to take on. We all need a Mother Abbess in our lives. She's sort of the anchor. She brings the wisdom and the stability and the hope and faith and belief that we'll make it through.
Yeah.
And who doesn't love that? We all need that right now in our lives. So it's a challenge vocally, because it hangs a little lower than I usually sing. And I don't believe I have her wisdom yet, but I'm trying to go in that direction. But I love it. I love to be back. I love this area, especially in the summer. Who wouldn't want to be in St. Joe in the summer?
Right.
So, and I love working with Paul. I'm just very lucky. And this cast is really special. I hope everyone will come.
Yeah. Now, you say who wouldn't love being in St. Joseph in the summer, but you may say something differently when you're out there and it's kind of a little warm.
Nun's habit. Yeah.
In my nun's habit. Yes.
Yeah. That'll be another added challenge with the costumes and all that. But no, I know that you guys will be awesome. But I will say this too: isn't it like you said? Isn't it great to not play the lead role every once in a while? Because sometimes those supporting characters and those maybe just featured actors, sometimes those are the ones that people leave the theater or leave the performance and say, that was my favorite part. And so that's where you get to have fun with it. You get to collaborate with a lot of people, and yeah, it's good to play all those different kind of roles. So anybody that's in theater, whether you're young or old, it's playing some of the supporting characters is a lot of fun as well. And character,
absolutely. And this cast is a real team cast. I mean, it's not just the three of us. We've got 7 kids and a bunch of other nuns and other characters too. So this is one of the shows where it takes a huge team to put on this show. It is not just the people on this screen.
Yeah. And Paul, back to you. We've been talking a little bit about how this show and the timeliness of this, but the timing of this show goes all the way back to the World War II, and so we're in the times of Nazis and all these different things. So why a show like this? Why is that message something that will speak to people now?
Well, fantastic, yeah. And coming right off the heels of Cabaret, it's a similar a similar cautionary tale. That fascism's looking right around the corner, and even Branch and I had this moment last night where he's talking about looking at the mountains for one last time and having to. What's your line, Branch, about these used to be my mountains? I always
thought of them as my friends. Now they're my enemies. Now they seem to be my enemies. Yeah,
because he has to leave his home that he's built. And it's just such a cautionary tale for all of us to not get too comfortable. Unless
are they protecting me from the outside, or are they now like a wall, keeping me in?
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's got some great themes at the same time, and I love any piece of theater that opens you up with frivolity and laughs, and then kind of hits you in Act 3 with the real message. So I think we've seen Rodgers and Hammerstein do that so many times, and it's a fantastic piece. It's iconic, as you know, and it doesn't get any bigger than this one.
Right. Yeah. People are going to know. And that's the thing. People may know the songs and may have seen movies and performances of the past, but you're definitely going to want to see this one because it's one of a kind. It's in the beautiful Shadowland Pavilion with the backdrop of the of Lake Michigan and the dunes. There are some hills, so those hills will be a lot.
Little hills, right?
Right. There's some smaller hills.
You can sit on a hill. Yeah.
Exactly. And of course, people want to come see this show. So, Paul, give us the details on everything we need to know before we come and check out these wonderful performers along with the rest of the great cast of The Sound of Music.
Great. So go if you want a ticket, you go to smso.org for Southwest Michigan Symphony Orchestra, smso.org. The shows are both Friday night and Saturday night, July 28th and 29th at 6:30 p.m. Ticket details to sit just on the lawn or bring your own chair. It's $25 for adults, only $5 for youth, 6 to 17 years. So if you have a big family, this is the one to come. Children under five are free, but keep them quiet. No, I'm kidding. And then reserve seating, if you want a chair sitting there waiting for you, and they're, to be honest, they're up closer on the lawn, the front of the lawn, are $35 a piece. Or they have the big picnic tables, the seat 10 for $350. So it's the same price, $35 per person. If you want one of those 10-person tables. Gates open at 5:30 p.m. Parking, as you know, at Silver is always limited. Carpool, walk down from the bluff if you can, etc. I think the other important details are lots of food trucks and alcohol for purchase, but you can't bring your own coolers in. So, it's going to be a hot one. Bring your ice packs, whatever, if you need to, but there'll be cold water for sale and things like that. So for the Symphony to be able to pull off this giant tens of thousands of dollars productions, they have to make a little bit of money on the food and drink too. Can't wait. Super excited. We'll be out there all day Friday trying to dodge the heat, and please come join us Friday night.
That's wonderful.
I hear the weather's going to be good.
Yeah,
it's going to be good.
It's going to be warm, but it will be nice and sunny and beautiful. So looking forward to that. Any shout-outs to any sponsors or anything like that?
Yeah, I just wanted to also mention we do have a contingency plan. If the heat index is too high, like the Symphony literally can't perform union rules over 95. So we would go to Mendel Center. So stay tuned if anybody thinks the heat wave is here or it rains or anything like that. We would move to Mendel Center. Yes, the Symphony's sponsors are the Michigan Arts and Culture Council and the National Endowment for the Arts that I see on their website.
Yeah,
I'm not sure of others. Obviously, it's a collaboration with Ghostlight, but this is primarily a Symphony venture.
Wonderful. Looking forward to The Sound of Music at the Shadowland Pavilion, or like you said, if it gets a little too hot, move on over, but they'll definitely let you know if that ends up happening. But if we want to know more, go to smso.org. Looking forward to this wonderful performance. Thank you guys so much for spending a little bit of time with me, and thank you for coming to Southwest Michigan to be a part of the show.
Thank you.